You laid out this idea that, hey, if I'm switching from one thing to the next, then I have context switching, which creates this leakage. It creates this, what was the terminology you used?
Ineffective attention residue.
Yes, attention residue. Um, but what are some other things that I might be doing that are creating leakage in other ways? In other
Oh,
words, context switching is not the only thing, right? Like, what
right.
if I'm not calendaring? What if I'm just uncertain about what I should be doing next?
Mhm.
There are other challenges when it comes to time management that's, that can be solved. What are some other things that you're finding when you're working with
Okay.
clients?
Okay, definitely. So some other things that I see are just ineffective organization. Keeping a to-do list on a legal pad versus using a digital task management system. David Allen, the creator of Getting Things Done, has said that our brains are meant for having ideas, not holding them. And so every time we're trying to operate from our memory with our list of things to do, we're setting ourselves up for failure. So, not utilizing a digital task management system, not delegating things that could be delegated. So often we feel like we are the only person who can do certain tasks, when in reality, so much more than we realize can be delegated. But it's not always something that we can just hand off, and it might require a little bit effort to set someone else up for success. And so we end up saying, well, it'll just be faster if I do it. And we end up losing that time when we could be delegating. So I'd say context switching from trying to wear too many hats in one day. I would say just an ineffective task management system, which rolls into having an ineffective calendaring system. If you are a business owner and an attorney, it's time to move away from using a paper planner. So if you are not digital with your calendaring, it's time to go there. If you're not using a scheduling tool to book appointments, it's time to try that out. And then none of those things, even if you streamline the roles and move away from context switching, even if you have an amazing task management system and you're delegating, but you don't have a clear understanding of your vision for the future or your priorities, none of those other things are going to work. Because if you don't have a clear vision for the future and know where you want to go, where you want to grow, then knowing what the most important thing is at any moment is going to be nearly impossible. You're always going to feel like you're guessing and just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah, very, very true. I want to go back to the to-do list that you mentioned. And I'm trying to remember where I had this conversation or what book I read it in, but we tend to maintain this to-do list, whether it's in our head or whether it's in a task management system or whatever it is, of 100, 1,000 things that we need to do, that if we are true to ourselves, we're never going to actually get to all those items. Like, there's literally some of them that we will never do. Yet we keep it on our to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
How effective is it in having such a list? And is there a better system than that to identify what are the most important items that we're actually realistically can get done, and kind of abandon that list and just have this shorter, more realistic thing? What is that something that you work on with your clients? And what are your thoughts on that?
It is. And whenever I am getting to know new clients and we're starting to uncover what their current to-do and task management system looks like, which I use the word system loosely because it's come in the form of stacks of Post-it notes to Google Docs, and it's just all over the place. And typically what I see is people who have one super long list that is filled with things that they need to do today, next week, next year, things that they might want to do someday, and like a restaurant that they want to visit if they happen to visit Italy one day. And all of these different to-do lists and ideas are living in one place. And so early on, for someone like that, we'd separate the list into two different pieces, into two different separate lists. We call it our to-do list and our today list. And this is one of the most basic ways to really begin breaking down what needs to be done today versus what needs to be done at some point. And so you can call that to-do list your brain dump list or your mind sweep list, or all of the things that need to be done that have hit your mind. But your today list is just 5 to 7, maybe 15 things that you want to knock out today. And that helps you clarify and really focus in on what's possible today. And then I recommend taking it a step further and taking the items on that today list and then time blocking them in your digital calendar so that you have an accurate reflection of, this is how I'm going to spend my time doing each of these items, to see if these 7 items are actually or even realistic to accomplish today. We overestimate so often what we can do in a day, and we would end our days feeling so much more accomplished if we were to just drastically decrease the size of our lists.